Mayor, just so you know, the recording has started.
Hello.
All right, looks like it's 6 o'clock, so I'm going to call this special called special call meeting of the City Council, Kingston City Council. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Like we do in all our meetings, I'd like everyone to please stand for the invocation and pledge the flag. Councilman Brown, would you please lead us in invocation?
I will, Mayor. Thank you very much. Please pray with me. Our Heavenly Father, once again, we come to you with grateful hearts, thanking you for the opportunity to meet here in unusual circumstances. We want to first say that we appreciate the service that our former council member, the reason we're meeting, his service to the city of Kingston, and that we hope that we make him proud with the selection process that we're going through tonight and next Tuesday. Dear Heavenly Father, most of all, we thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ, and we give him praise every day. In his name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
Indivisible,
with liberty
and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, you please call the roll.
Councilmember Brown,
Present.
Councilmember Childs, Vice Mayor Humphreys,
Present.
Councilmember Stockton,
Present.
Councilmember Wright,
Present.
Mayor Neal.
Present. I think Councilmember Childs will join us a little bit later. I believe he had to work tonight, so he should be on his way in from work. So what we're doing here tonight, and this is kind of a real rare situation with doing the Zoom meetings, so it's going to be kind of weird. They all have been so far. So what we have on the agenda tonight is interviewing of applicants for the city council seat vacated by the passing of Councilmember Wiley Brackett. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in alphabetical order. We need to, we've got 7 total people here tonight that are trying to get this seat. So what we're going to do is, it's introduce yourself, couple of minutes introduction, and then we'll go in right into the questions. So first up, we've got David Doonan. So David, you'll be first. And David, you're on mute.
Okay, sorry about that. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
Good. As everybody knows, I'm David Doonan. I worked as a photojournalist for the Roane County News. I'm no longer there. I want to thank the City Council for this opportunity to speak to you and to plead my case for consideration for council. My wife called this opening statement the elevator statement, referring to tell your story to a person who asked you to tell them about yourself in an elevator. So here it goes. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, and I've resided in many areas around the county and around the country, and I've been a resident here off and on for 6 years. This spring, I'm going to be attending Roane State in the spring to pursue a career in radiologic technology. My wife Carol and I have decided to make Kingston our permanent home, as it's a wonderful community to live in. I was saddened to hear of Wiley Brackett's passing, and after careful consideration, I decided to pursue this vacant seat on the council. I think I bring a unique perspective in covering and serving the functions of city government, as I've covered many communities in Tennessee, New York, and Florida for several newspapers, and have a feel for how to travel through the sometimes murky waters of governing. The city faces some daunting tasks in the future, and I hope to serve the residents of Kingston and make our community a better place to live. There is no magic pill or one solution to the issues that face Kingston in the future, but I want to listen to the residents and be a voice for those who need one. Thank you.
Thank you, David. All right, the first question, are you 18 years of age?
Oh, yes. By a few, yes.
Have you lived in the city of Kingston for at least 1 year?
Oh, yeah. I'm a resident here. I own a house up on Scott Lane. We've been there for about a little over 2 years.
And you are a registered voter?
Oh, of course.
Do you have any relatives employed by the city of Kingston?
No, not that I know of, no. I have no family here except me and my wife, so that's obviously a definite no.
So will your schedule permit you to attend at least 2 meetings per month?
Oh, of course. I know what this job entails, and this was part of the thought process of going through this. So yes, there's no problem with that.
Number 6 is, do you have any business interest with the city of Kingston?
No, none at all.
All right, so now we get into some more interesting questions. What is your position on selling and serving?
Well, this is a very interesting question. I know we've covered it a lot when I was working at the paper. The issue of serving alcohol on city property is a hot button issue, and that has passionate people on both sides of this argument. I think my stance on the issue will be better addressed when I am faced with it if I join the council. I will not deal in hypotheticals, but when faced with it, I will make an educated decision on what I feel best serves the city. The question on whether I'm for or against anything should not be a litmus test on whether or not I am qualified to serve my community.
Okay. So if you're appointed to this seat, do you plan on running for city council in 2 years?
I'm taking it under advisement. 2 years is a long time. I mean, a lot of things can happen in 2 years. I'm going to try and do my best in the 2 years to grow into it. And then when I get to that time where it's time to make a decision, then I'm going to work. I'll do that then. I'll make that decision at the appropriate time.
Okay. Number 9 is the Kingston. The city of Kingston has 2 large developments in the planning stages: Southwest Point Golf Course and the property off the Interstate 40. Do you have any positions on anything of these with what you might think about what's going on there?
Well, I know that it's Kingston is really looking at trying to make this a better place, and these 2 are certainly going to help that out. And I want to be able to, if I join the council, that I would love to just look into it and see what kind of things we're going to be doing to make it better. Going into these things, these questions are preconceived notions. I can't say what would happen in the future, but I would certainly take everything under advisement, talking to people that are businesses and people that developers and like that, and see what we want to do to make it better. And I'm for growth. We need to make this place. We need to be stronger in this area. We want to draw more people, get more tax money in. We can make it a better place if we get more businesses and industry in here to make it better.
So, why do you want to be on council? I think you kind of answered that at the beginning, but you can go over it again.
Well, I have for years I stood on the sidelines and I watched government officials deciding the fates of their constituents and how those decisions affected their communities. And many times I'd reflect on those decisions and wonder what I would do if faced with the same situations. And with council, I talked with friends in the area and family that I decided to dive in and serve the community and put as what I like to call skin in the game. Instead of being on the sidelines and talking about it, I want to do something to make some change.
Okay. Number 11 is, what is your position on changing the Kingston Regional Planning Commission to the Kingston City Planning Commission?
Okay, though this is one subject that I'm not real familiar with, but being on council, I'm going to study it and learn and find out what we can do and work on this issue to become a better place for the residents of Kingston. Like I said, it's something I'm really not familiar with, but that's not going to discourage me from diving in and learning about it.
And Dave, the last one is, what experience do you have that would make you the best candidate for this position?
Well, for starters, I don't know if this is a good thing or not, but I have no experience in politics. Most of my professional career was covering politicians and what they do in their time in government service. I'm a great listener. That's one of the things that I'm really known for. I could talk to anybody. And I try to put myself into a person's shoes and wonder what I would do if faced in those same circumstances. And this happened a lot, like when I was working in the paper. I mean, you talk to people, I would be out and talk to everybody, of all walks of life. And I really would like to serve the residents of Kingston and make this a better community to work and live.
All right, thank you, Dave.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, the second one on the list is Mr. Bruce Ellsroth. Mr. Ellsroth, how are you tonight?
I'm fine, and yourself?
Just fine. Mr. Ellsroth, if you would go ahead and start out with introduction.
Yes, I have been on several of the city council or city committees over time, and I was a member of the Kingston Tomorrow Task Force back in 1988, and I was also the chairman of that committee after Neil Scalf was resigned. And so I have some pretty good background with the city of Kingston. I've lived here for 42 years. My wife and my son and daughter, my wife is with me. My son and daughter have gone to schools here. My grandchildren are in school here also. I'm a member of the Kingston Community Action Committee, or group. I was a member of the Roane County Tourism Committee back in 2011 through 2014. So I have a pretty good background in the operation of the city and what things we're going through at this time. And I would appreciate, I would like to help the city of Kingston to resolve any issues and also to prosper over, in the future.
Okay. Well, you are over 18 years old, and you told us that you've lived in Kingston for 42 years.
Correct.
And are you a registered voter?
I am.
Do you have any relatives employed with the city?
Say that again. Relatives, no.
No.
That actually work in the city, no.
That work for the city.
Work for the city, no.
Does your schedule permit you to attend at least 2 meetings per month?
Yes, it does.
Do you have any business interest with the city of Kingston?
No, not at this time. I did in the past through the Watts Bar Riverboat Company, but other than that, no.
All right, so then we get into the other questions. What is your position on selling and serving of alcoholic beverages on city property?
I have no problem with alcoholic beverages on city property, although, like Mr. Dugan said, that is a serious consideration, and I would like to learn a little bit more about what the ramifications are.
Okay. Do you plan on running for city council in 2 years if you're appointed to the seat?
If I'm appointed, yes, that's a possibility.
All right, so the city of Kingston has 2 large developments in the planning stages, Southwest Point Golf Course and the property off Interstate 40. What is your position on both of these?
Well, I've read some in the Roane County News about it, and I have no problem with the city of Kingston expanding, and I would like to see that, like Mr. Dugan previously described.
Okay. All right. Number 10. Why do you want to be on city council?
Just to help the city, have its complete membership and to help the city make decisions based on my background and the information that's provided.
Thank you. And what is your position on changing the Kingston Regional Planning Commission to the Kingston City Planning Commission?
Again, I don't know much about that. I would like to learn a little bit more before I would make a position, give a position.
And I think you've answered 12 a couple of times, about your experience. So tell us anything else you can think of about your experience that would make you, the best candidate for this position.
I'm retired as a principal engineer with Westinghouse in the nuclear service division. I worked at Watts Bar for 17 and a half years on Unit 1 and for 2.5 years on Unit 2. So I've got 20 years of nuclear experience here in Tennessee. I've been to 5 continents around the world. I've been to all 50 states in the District of Columbia. I've actually lived in Germany and North Africa. Total 6 years in Germany and 2 years in North Africa. So I've seen a lot of outside influence on the world, and I think I would bring a little bit of extra knowledge to the city of Kingston based on those experiences.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis Rother. Appreciate you participating.
Thank you.
All right, the third one, the major.
Hey, Tim.
Hey, how you doing?
Fine, thanks.
Give us an introduction to yourself. So,
Well, my name is Carolyn Granger. I live at 118 Arsenal Crossing in Kingston, and I'm a city taxpayer. Have been for quite a while. And I'm a past Roane County Commissioner, served on the County Commission for 8 years. And I like to be busy. What else?
We'll go into the questions.
Okay.
We'll start, you're 18 years of age, you've lived in the city for at least a year, you're a registered voter. Do you have any relatives employed by the city of Kingston?
No.
Will your schedule permit you to attend at least 2 meetings per month?
Yes.
Do you have any business interest with the city of Kingston? So what is your position on selling or serving alcoholic beverages on city property?
I don't think I could support that. The selling of alcoholic beverages on city property. I mean, that's not just in the parks, is it? I mean, could we, are you talking about, could it be sold at your office, outside your office? I mean, the city covers a lot of territory, so I could not support it.
Do you plan on running for city council if you're appointed to this position in 2 years?
I definitely would strongly be thinking support it.
Okay. So the city has 2 large developments in planning stages, Southwest Point Golf Course and the property off of Interstate 40. So what is your position on these 2 developments, if you have any?
Well, I really would like to see some development happen in the city of Kingston. It was my understanding that the city annexed the golf course.
Mm-hmm.
So that's as much as I know is what I've read in the paper on that. But I feel like, we need some development.
I think we're all in agreement with that.
Well, we need some infrastructure as well.
Right. So why do you want to be on city council?
Well, Tim, I'm a very active person. I love helping people. I like the political arena, and I like, to be able to be active in the community, be an active citizen, be part of the community.
Understand. So do you have any position on the changing of the Kingston Regional Planning Commission to the Kingston City Planning Commission?
Well, I'm not real familiar with this. I would have to study that issue more because I'm not real familiar with that.
Okay. And do you have any experience that would make you the best candidate for this position?
Well, as I said, I served 8 years on county commission.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to represent not just my constituents, I tried to represent the entire county. And I think with Kingston, I would love to be part of it and represent the citizens to the best of my ability.
I understand. That's good. Thank you, Ms. Granger, and thank you for putting your name out there to see how things go. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Number D would be Jeff Griffiths.
How you doing, Tim?
Fine, Mr. Griffiths. How are you today?
I'm doing good.
All right. If you would just kind of give us a brief introduction of yourself, and then we'll go into the questions.
Okay, I'll try to make it brief. Of course, I've been born and raised in Rome County all my life. A Blue Devil graduate back in '82. Hopefully that's not held against me. Moved over here in '01. When my kids was playing sports, I was involved in city league sports, coaching soccer and basketball, and also helped with the middle school teams. And my wife works at the courthouse, Melinda, and I work at Y12. And I have 2 grown boys. One, Bradley, he's married and expecting their first child in June. And Brandon still is at home, but he's a physical therapist now in Harriman. And that's pretty well my background.
Okay. And you are 18 years of age, and you've lived in the city for over a year.
Yes.
You're sometimes are you a registered voter?
Yes.
Do you have any relatives employed with the city?
No.
will your schedule permit you to attend at least 2 meetings a month?
Yes, it would.
Do you have any business interest with the city of Kingston?
No.
So on number 7, what is your position on selling and serving alcoholic beverages on city property?
Well, mainly on the parks and stuff, I'll be against it because I want to try to keep that a family atmosphere, as far as my opinion. And and as far as the alcohol that we already have in the city, that's been like stores and restaurants, as long as we abide by the law, I have with that whatsoever.
Number 8 is, would you plan on, if you were appointed to this seat, would you plan on running for city council in 2 years?
Well, to be perfectly honest, right now, I couldn't say yes or no. I just, like some of these others, have to see how it goes if I was elected to this position and go from there.
Okay. So the city of Kingston has 2 large developments in planning stages, Southwest Point and the property off Interstate 40. Do you have any position on either one of these or both of them?
Yes, I'll be for it, and I can think back when Midtown Interchange was opened up and how that developed. So yes, I would be definitely for that to help the revenue and growth in the city of Kingston. But in saying that though, I want to make sure if we done it, that we would do it out of respect for the residents that lives close to where we'd be developing, that we'll do it in the best way possible.
Okay. So why do you want to be on city council?
Well, I really haven't thought about this much over the years, but out of respect for Wally Brackett, one of his family members came to me and asked would I would consider it, and that honored me that they would even think about me, because I knew Wally Brackett for years, like a lot of others has, and I really miss Wally. I really respected him and his family, and so while I'm running too, I thought about my dad died, and not talking sad here, but my dad died from COVID August 3rd. And I'm fit to be a grandpa first, if everything goes well, in June. So, I've been around Roane County all my life. I've seen when it was booming in the whole county and through the downtime. And so far, both of my kids still live in the county, and we of course live in Kingston. So I would like to be part of the help to lead it in the right direction for growth and hopefully see better days.
So what is your position on changing the Kingston Regional Planning Commission to the Kingston City Planning Commission?
Well, like others, I really don't know a lot about that, but what little bit I heard, if I understand it right, I wouldn't be against it, because the reach, and then outside the city of Kingston, we let commissioners and all worry more about that area, and we just can focus on the city. So if I understand that halfway right, I wouldn't be against it.
Okay. And Jeff, what experience do you have that would make you the best candidate for the position?
Well, I think I already mentioned some of them. Of course, I'm getting a little age on me now. I've been around here all my life. And like I said, I've seen some things done the right way, some things that probably could have done better. And I just feel like if I get elected, give myself time to learn it, that I think I could help the city of Kingston to move in the right direction.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, our next applicant is Levi Langford. Levi, I'm looking for you on the screen. Looking for you on the screen, I couldn't find you. Can you give us a brief introduction, and then we'll go through the questions?
Yes, sir. Name is Levi Langford. That's the old nickname. Albert Langford is my real name. Grew up, born and raised here in Roane County. Been in Kingston for the last 15 years. I graduated Roane County High School in 1996. Seems like an eternity ago, but graduated from there in 96. Currently employed at Y12 in supply chain management, working out of the K25 out of the Mac warehouse. I've got a youngin', little mini me, Evan, over at 7th grade in Cherokee Middle School, and my daughter's already graduated and gone on to Roane State and studying down there. Been married. We just celebrated 10-year anniversary last Thursday, week ago. Yeah, last Thursday, 10 years to Miss Kelly there. So.
Okay. So I know you're above the age of 18 and you've lived in the city for at least a year.
Yes, sir.
Again, you're a registered voter.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any relatives that are employed by the city of Kingston?
No, sir.
Will your schedule permit you to attend at least 2 meetings per month? Okay. Do you have any business interest with the city of Kingston?
No, sir.
Okay. Next one. So what is your position on selling or serving alcoholic beverages on city property?
I would be for it. I mean, that's another option out there to have to bring in revenue or attract other businesses that might not come because not that they only deal in alcohol, but I understand it's also a small town. It's a family environment, but I think it can be done in moderation. I think it can be done with monitoring, working with the council, maybe working with the Rowan County Sheriff, the Kingston City Police. I think that can be done in that atmosphere and done safely and wisely.
Okay. Question 8 is, do you plan on running for council if you're in 2 years if you're appointed to this seat?
Yes, sir.
Question 9. The city has 2 large developments in the planning stages, Southwest Point Golf Course and a property off Interstate 40. Do you have a position on either or both of these?
I've read a little bit more on the Southwest Point. Obviously, anytime that you can grow and develop land, especially with the water line, the riverfront property that we're blessed with here in the county, that is a tremendous, asset to us. And I know that, just down from the fort and having the park there, to be able to add in maybe an RV park and a small campground, things of that nature would be, I mean, there's no, it would be limitless possibilities there.
Okay. City council.
Well, I was just thinking about it. I've worked on the election commission for 6-7 years, and do that part of it as far as seeing how the campaigning and things go. And I thought, sometimes when watching you guys in the meeting with the city council or with the board, school board, when those meetings happen, the first thing people do is, oh, this is what I would do, or this is what I don't agree with that, and blah 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 blah. And then when the time comes to, well, hey, would you be interested? No, I'm not really. No, So you got to put rubber on the road sometime or another. So you need to get in there, and if you want to make a change, then get in there and throw your name in the hat. It's a possibility. Who knows what happens?
Right. 11. What is your position on Kingston City Planning Commission?
Name change wouldn't do anything for me. Obviously, it would be the actions taken therein.
So, Levi, what kind of experience would make you the best candidate for this position?
Like I said, I work with the election commission. I know the ins and outs as far as the campaigning and how that stuff goes. I've been involved with the kids since Evan was 4, as far as volunteering for coaching, refereeing, umpiring, all that thing, all those natures. So in that, being out and about in different parts of the community, you hear, what's going on and try to, listen, people's complaints, or if something's done wrong or what you could do to maybe improve it. You have to take all that in consideration and try to apply a little bit of everything to make, situations work out. You're not going to please everybody, obviously. You'll probably displease more than you please, but in a matter of time, if you're consistent about what you do and stay true to yourself, then, hard work pays off in the end.
Thank you, Levi. Moving right along. Our 6th one tonight is Jody Tipton. Mr. Tipton, would you give us an introduction, and then we'll start.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I appreciate the opportunity to come in front of you guys here tonight. I hate the situation that we're under. Wiley Brackett was a good friend of mine, football coach when I was little, and man, he's taught me a lot of life lessons. And just hate that we're here under these circumstances. I know most of you here. Well, I know all of you here. Born and raised, I was born here, I was raised here, educated here, and I'm going to make my grave here. I've been here 45 years and 11 months. Raised 2 kids here. Jake's electrician up at Y12. He's in the apprenticeship program. Joe is a baseball player at Johnson University. And I wouldn't want to live anywhere. I'm not going to live anywhere else.
Okay, so I assume you are above the age of 18, and you've lived in the city of Kingston for at least a year and registered voter.
sometimes I'd like to go back to being below the age of 18, but yes, sir, I am.
Well, we're a long ways from that. Do you have any relatives employed by the city of Kingston?
I do. I have a cousin that works at the wastewater treatment plant. He's a plant operator.
Okay. Well, your schedule permits you to attend at least 2 meetings per month.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any business interests with the city of Kingston?
I have in the past. I've sold vehicles to the city.
So what is your position on selling or serving alcoholic beverages on city property?
No.
All right, do you plan on running for city council if you're appointed to this seat in the next 2 years?
I have no plans at this time. Anything's possible is the only reason I answer that way. I mean, anything's possible, but that is not my intention.
So the city of Kingston has 2 large developments in the planning stages, Southwest Point Golf Course and the property off Interstate 40. Do you have what's your position on these or both of them?
Mayor, that's a good question because I'm always ready to grow Kingston. Now, not just grow it, but it needs to thrive. We need to be self-supportive. So I'm for making the city thrive so it flourishes to gain the revenue, because I mean nobody wants a tax increase, but everybody wants things. You can't go into Best Buy and take a TV and say I'm taking it. You got to pay for it. That money comes out of your hard-earned paycheck every week. So I mean I understand that if you want things, you gotta pay for them. Period. So as long as Kingston is thriving, Kingston can be self-supportive, and we can have the things that everybody wants.
Why do you want to be on city council?
I mean, again, you know, I've been here 45 years and 11 months. I served on your Park and Rec committee. I served on your planning commission now, and I actually, in 1995, along with you, was elected to city council at 19 years old. At that time, I was the youngest elected official in the state of Tennessee at that time. I was young and dumb and realized real quick, hey, I don't need to be here. So I've learned from my mistakes over the years. It just took me a little longer to grow up than it does some people. And so here we are. But again, you know, I worked for the city for 13 years. I've been here all my life. I feel like I got a pretty good pulse on things going around on the political side, and working 13 years. So I've seen the employee side of it too. You know, I just, man, I love this town, and I just want to serve it.
So, what is your position on changing the Kingston Regional Planning Commission to the Kingston City Planning Commission?
100% for it. We have no business telling people that don't pay city taxes and then get the city amenities, what they can and what they can't do with their property.
And I know you touched a little bit about the experience that you had. So what else would make you the best candidate for this position?
Buddy, I don't think that I would ever be the best candidate, but I think I could be a good one to fill in a time of need. Like I said, I love my town. I'm for it. I'm for Kingston. I'm for Kingston to win at anything, you know, whether that be gaining an industry or playing a badminton match against Harriman. I'm a Kingston guy. I'm for Kingston, and I want to see us thrive. Like I said, growth is a terrible word to use, in my opinion. You can grow and not thrive. That does you no good. So I want Kingston to thrive, and I want to be a part of it.
Thank you, Mr. Tippett. All right, so our last applicant tonight was Mr. White, Don White. Don, I think your computer's muted.
Now, do you hear me?
You're good. All right.
Okay. How's the mayor and council doing tonight? Good?
All right. Doing good.
That's good. I'm ready to start when you are.
Go right ahead. Give us an introduction, and we'll go into the questions.
My family was raised here. My children was raised here. My daughter played football, basketball, and baseball and softball. And my son grew up here. He played little league football, and I've lived here 95% of my life. And I love Kingston.
Don, I'll go through these questions. So you're above the age of 18. You've lived in the city for more than a year, and you're a registered voter. Do you have any relatives that are employed by the city of Kingston?
No, sir.
Will your schedule permit you to attend at least 2 meetings per month?
Yes, I'm retired.
Okay. Do you have any business interest with the city of Kingston?
No, sir.
Okay. So what is your position on selling or serving alcoholic beverages on city property?
I've always been against that. I understand that ain't the way it's worded is not the way maybe council's looking at this. They're talking about maybe having one designated spot somewhere. I would be interested in just listening and make a decision at that time. I'm not saying I'm totally against what might be in the horizon.
Okay. Do you plan on running for city council if you're appointed to this seat?
Yes, sir.
All right. Number 9, the city of Kingston has 2 large developments in the planning stages, Southwest Monk Golf Course and a property on I-40. What's your position on these?
Supported I-40 project when it was being talked about. Of course, it sort of fell by the wayside, and I really, really support the Southwest point. We need the rooftops, we need the tax revenue, and the I-40 would do the same thing. It provide rooftops and maybe some new growing things for Kingston. We need rooftops. We need business. We need something to keep us rolling. That's the way I feel about it. We really, really need tax revenue.
Okay. So Don, why do you want to be on city council?
Of course, I knew Wiley real well, and me and Wiley were good friends, and I feel like I could fill in right there and go forward with maybe some good things for the city of Kingston.
Okay. So what's your position on changing the Kingston Regional Planning Commission to the Kingston City Planning Commission?
I'd be for that because the county commission's already voted to go that route, and the city council has to, and it's in the state of Tennessee's hands, I think, at this time. And yes, I'm for Kingston City on that position.
And the last question is, what experience do you have that would make you the best candidate for this position?
Well, everybody knows I've been on council for 37 years. I know your budgets, or I did know them. They may have changed some since then. And I know your departments and how they operate. And I've been to the schools that's required by the state that you went to and the rest of council had to attend. And I got my paperwork on that, and I think I could step right in, take right off without a whole lot of problems.
Thank you, and I want to thank all of you guys for attending this meeting and putting your name out there. None of us wanted to be here tonight. We just seem to be trucking right along with Wiley as we had been, and sure do hate that we're in this position to fill his seat. So now we're going to go into item 5 is discussion of the process for voting on applicants at the special call meeting on the 21st. Mr. Attorney, you're in the middle of my screen right there. I'm going to kick it to you first.
Well, Mayor, you of course know that you have a charter provision that says that if there is a vacancy and that vacancy is more than 60 days away from an election, that you all have a period of time, to 60 days within which to fill the vacancy. Otherwise, there would have to be a special election. You have a city that calls on you all to do everything by having one a voice vote. Now, as far as how you get there, there are not any provisions in the city code with regard to how you all conduct that particular piece of business, but in the absence of that, you have Robert's Rules of Order, and your city manager has given you a blueprint of how you can go about doing any specialized action. You can have a meeting, there will be nominations, you all can then vote on those nominations, and you will vote on the nominations. First of all, get all the nominations that there are, vote for the nominations to cease, and then begin to vote on who has been nominated. By Robert's Rules of Order, it will take, in your all's case, it will take a majority, which would be 4 of you, to elect somebody. If there is no majority, and unless you all change your procedure in some way or the other, you would vote, then you would vote again, and you would, it's almost like you see sometimes in a party convention where you vote, you have 15 votes until you get to some place, or you quit. So you all, right now, you have got 7 candidates. If all of those are nominated, then you all would, each one in your turn would vote in that position. And if any one of the candidates receives 4 votes, then that would close the transaction.
So if I'm reading it correctly by that last statement, if someone was to nominate all 7 candidates, and then we would call the roll to who we wanted in that first spot, correct?
Correct.
So this could go on like some of the old-timey Democratic conventions back in the 40s.
I wasn't there then, Mr.
No, I wasn't either. Seen movies and shows about it.
But yes, that would be the way that you would do it until you either one reached an impasse or somebody got 4 votes.
Okay. All right. So now I want to ask anyone on council if they have anything else to ask Sandy, or we're crystal clear on what our plan is on Monday night. Mr. Brown.
Mayor. Yes.
Yep.
Sandy, I guess the question would be along the lines that Tim has asked for. Let's just, for instance, somebody on the first round of voting, everybody got nominated, all 7 people, and the roll's called, and we name the name that we're going to vote for. Let's say that 2 people get 2 votes each, and then we've got 2 that get 0, and then we've got 2 that get 1 vote each. What would you recommend in a circumstance like that to narrow it down? I would assume, and I guess my suggestion would be that on the first round, of course, somebody's going to get dropped off the very first round, because there's, the way I read the city manager's deal, unless somebody agrees, you can't vote. We've only got 6 of us. We got 7 people interested. So if everybody got 1 vote the first round, somebody drops off.
Well, if you'll allow me, Councilman Brown, actually, you all can establish that in the absence of you all making a decision of how to do something like that in advance before you start taking any votes. No, you could have 7 people. You could have one of them get 3 votes and the others get either 6, a vote or 2 or none. But you still got everybody nominated, and you can't have a procedure for them to drop off unless you decide to establish that procedure, which you have the right to do, and which the city manager, I think, has suggested that perhaps beginning at the meeting that somebody would make a motion to let the lowest vote getter to be dropped off from consideration. And you all could do that, but you need to do it ahead of time rather than in the midst. You need to decide that that's the way you would want to handle it.
Okay, and the other points, if I can continue, Mr. Mayor, is that I'm assuming it would be in order at Tuesday night's meeting after the appropriate number of people were nominated, whether that's 1 or 7, that a motion would be accepted by the chair and in order to cease nominations so that we as a council would not bring up any other names that did not go through this venting process tonight.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll answer that. I'll let Sandy answer it also.
I'm not sure that you can stop anything else from coming forward because you can establish your procedure in advance, and that becomes, Councilman Brown, under Robert's Rules of Order, and I'm looking at that for a second. That's a motion to fix the method of voting is an incidental main motion, which you can do at the beginning. All I'm telling you is you need to do that on the front end before you do anything else, so everybody understands what the procedure is.
But that would be a binding motion then that would stop that, just like no other nominations. If that passed by majority, we would not be able to nominate anyone else that's not there or that we don't know about.
It's not quite right. You all could, by majority, you could reopen the nominations.
Okay. All right. So then we need to put on the special called agenda something that you would help or word with the city manager that allows us to do this as a line item agenda.
We serve at the pleasure of the council.
Okay. And Tim's shaking his head. The city manager sent us out his suggestion, which is a good one. I called him back and I was wanting to make sure that if council, and I'm speaking to council now, if we adopt what he sent out about breaking the tie and dropping the least vote getters to try to arrive at a top vote getter, that it may be that 2 or 3 nominees may be tied with 1 vote each or 2 votes each, and we're trying to get to a 4-vote count. That we would vote for just those people to try to advance one of those out of the tie. It would be, I think David called it a tiebreaker. My concern with that is that that the people that had already gotten say 2 votes or 3 votes, their sponsors would be abandoning and just voting there. I wouldn't want someone to get confused that in that tie-breaking round, just because they got 4 votes doesn't mean that they were elected to the position. All they are doing is moving up in the order, and they need to know that that's a runoff vote. Y'all follow what I'm saying?
Somebody gets 4 votes, they're in.
They're in, yeah.
So that's why we don't need to have the tiebreaker.
And how do we have a tiebreaker then?
Mr. Bell.
If you have someone.
Mr. Mayor, go ahead.
I think the city manager wants to speak, Mayor.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I was just going to go to Councilmember Brown's point. He's right. It could be confusing when I suggested that. I just based that on something I've been a part of in the past. But basically, you would treat a tiebreaker vote almost like you would treat an amendment to a motion. If you had a tie, then you would have a tiebreaker vote among the low vote getter. If the low vote getters were tied, if you had say 2 that received 1 vote apiece, then you would have a vote. The way I did it when I was on county commission is you would have a second vote, the tiebreaker vote, only among those candidates who are tied. So if you had candidate X with 1 vote, candidate Y with 1 vote, then you would vote on those 2, and of those 2, the one that got the most votes would move back into consideration. The other would drop off. It was just set up as a way to break a tie among the low vote getters. So again, I'm not saying that's the perfect solution. I'm just saying that that's one that in that scenario. So that's why I offered that out there. But so again, it's like Sandy said, it's entirely up to you all how you want to do that.
But if we've got three people that are tied with 2 votes apiece on the first time, the other 4 what, I mean, you kind of confused me a little bit on that.
Under that scenario, if you had a vote and there was a tie, whether that be a tie among the low vote getter, or maybe if you had everybody with a tie, then you would have to keep voting. You wouldn't have a low vote getter. The scenario I threw out there, and again, it's just because it's a scenario I've been a part of, is when you have, if you have someone who got the majority of votes, but they didn't get 4, if you drop the low vote getter, you have to establish a low vote getter to do that. So, if you had a scenario where you had 3 people who got 2 votes apiece, in my opinion, you keep voting. You would go on to the next round of voting because you don't have a low vote getter. But if you had somebody who got 2 votes, and then you had a couple people who got 1 vote, again, you would vote to break the tie on the low vote getter only. So the person with the 2 votes wouldn't be a part of that secondary round of voting. Again, that's not perfect. That may not be a perfect idea. I just don't know any other mechanism if you're going to drop the low vote getter to deal with if you have a tie. I think the alternative to that would be you just keep voting, and if it's 3-2 and 2-1, you just keep going over and over again until somebody changes their vote. Those are really the only 2 ways you're going to do it to get to 4. So I think either you do a process of elimination, or you just keep going and see if somebody changes their mind. I don't know any other way to really accomplish that.
And Mr. Mayor, my scenario that I drew up was, what happens if the first round somebody gets 2 votes and 4 people get 1 vote each?
Right. Okay, I see.
See what I'm saying? So you put that person with 2 votes, he's made the first cut, and now then you've got to decide how to eliminate or how to advance, whichever your preference, the other 4 people that got 1 vote each. So do you vote on just those 4? And if somebody were to get 4 votes or 5 votes, that's what I'm afraid of. If we were to do it that way, like it was suggested, that then that person says, oh, I'm elected, I've got 5 votes, but it's just a runoff. So I just want to clear that up before we get there and go over it in the first line of business so that we know and I'm not confused.
Well, I'm confused, but we'll fix it. And I also found out before this meeting started that Mr. McPherson is going to be with us Monday night.
Praise the Lord.
That's correct. They have COVIDed out my other meeting, Mr. Mayor.
Dang on it. Well, that's good, because somebody will have to lead us back in shape. It'd be a little bit easier if we were in person than on this Zoom call, but it is what it is, and that's the way we have to deal with it.
Right.
My money's on the city manager.
I've got one more question. The way that Sandy and David have spoken tonight and through their emails, someone can nominate, and it doesn't take a second, all 7 candidates to put them forth for consideration without objection. I'm willing to do that if the council doesn't object, or any one of you can. I think that's the fairest way to be, is if these good people have put their names in, that I just go with the will of the council on whatever they want to do with it.
Are you saying, do I understand you correctly, that you're saying you're willing to make that nomination tonight for the ones who have already applied and gone through this process?
Don't think I can tonight. I think that's up to Tuesday night on a special call. All we're doing, all this call is to interview and to set guidelines.
Right, that's Monday night, Tony, not Tuesday.
Tuesday, okay, I'm sorry, Monday.
I think it's Monday night.
So
I think it's Tuesday.
That motion tonight at all?
And the only reason that I would not do that is if one of you are really, 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 really interested in nominating a particular person for whatever reason. You promise somebody, I'll nominate you, or you know what I'm saying? I don't want to take your thunder away from you, but I'm just trying to tell you that I'll be willing to do that if that's agreeable with the council. If it's not, I'll sit back like I always do and listen and vote. And check and make sure now. We'll make sure I didn't get the date wrong.
No, it's Monday night,
21st.
the
So-
21st.
Understanding correctly, Monday night, there still could conceivably be other candidates nominated from the floor other than these people before we close the nominations. Is that correct?
I believe that is right. Am I correct there, David?
You are correct, Mayor.
Even if we set the rules beforehand?
You know, this is something
Nominate
that
until
Sandy
somebody
and I-
closes the nomination.
Well,
I'm
that's
sorry,
what I
go ahead,
want to
David.
do. I'm also wanting to, as soon as I do that, turn right, if I were to do that, is to turn right around and make a motion that nominations cease and we proceed to elect.
You can do that if you get 4 votes to close the nominations.
Okay, that's what I'm getting at. So that's something, I can't talk to these council members one-on-one about that, but that's something y'all need to consider. I'm telling you that that's what I plan on doing.
It's Sandy, one point on that, and it's something you and I talked about earlier today. Even you may want to mention this, you may want to tell me that I'm interpreting it wrong, but even if once nominated, call vote, no council member is obligated to only vote for those nominated candidates. You can, just as if you could write in a vote in a presidential election, you could vote for anyone you wanted to, nominated or not. Do you agree with that?
I do.
But it's also my understanding that we as council could change that, correct? With 4 votes, we could change that so that we are only voting for the people who have been nominated before nominations closed, correct?
I think you all are worried about a situation that's probably not going to come up anyhow, but you do not want to disenfranchise somebody from their opportunity to vote for somebody. It's not a matter of nominations, it's a matter of voting, and you don't want to disenfranchise somebody from the opportunity to vote if they wanted to.
One last dumb question, if I may, Mr. Mayor, to the city attorney. A pass vote or an abstention, how do you count those, and are they allowed?
It's my understanding that you have to vote aye or nay on, and in this instance, to vote for somebody.
Sandy, to touch on that, the only abstention would be, well, I mean, obviously you couldn't vote for somebody if you had some vested interest in a candidate, but a pass vote would return to the person who passed after everybody else has voted.
Yes. You're correct, David.
Don't y'all be getting any ideas.
All right. Is there anything else from council? Nothing else? For the 7 of you guys that tuned in, I really appreciate you putting your name out there to fill this seat. It's going to be pretty fun and entertaining Monday night, especially on the Zoom. It wouldn't be near as bad if we were in person, but it's going to be a little difficult on this. So with that, this meeting's adjourned.
Mayor, if I could, real quick, just trying to get some guidance as to what you want on the agenda for Monday night other than the vote. Do you want any kind of procedure set? Do you want to place on the agenda for that? I just need some. I mean, obviously, you all can add things to the agenda, but if there's anything, either now or between now and tomorrow, if there's anything specific you all want on the agenda, please let me know that so it reads however you intend.
I hate to disagree with you. I don't think we can add anything.
You can't add anything to the special call meeting.
You're right. Yeah. For a special call meeting, you can't.
You have to have. You're going to have a procedural vote, David. You're going to need a procedural vote from what they're talking about, and then go into the election.
Yeah, with a special call, we won't be able to add anything to the agenda. Is there anything else, Mr. Bowling?
No.
Are we going to allow public comment? David sent me an email. Somebody had questioned we didn't have public comment on this. And the only thing I could have thought of was anybody wanting public comment was to place their endorsement for one of the candidates. I'm just asking that question before we get there and find out somebody wants to talk and we rule them out of order.
I don't see why we couldn't have public comment.
I didn't include it on this agenda because there again, going back to the fact that only, only matters on the agenda can be discussed. So I know that's the theory behind why it's not. If you all want it on there, we can. You would just have to, if anyone did want to discuss anything that wasn't on the agenda, you would just have to rule it out of order, I guess. But I can put it on there if you want. That's totally your
And I'm
call.
just trying to touch all the bases where we don't have to do this again. And then for those candidates that's listening there, whoever gets elected will have to make arrangements to get sworn in and sign the oath and fill out your paperwork with the ethics committee, y'all, and go to school. You've got all kind of things that you've got to do after the vote.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? All right, I'm going to adjourn this meeting this time. Meeting adjourned. See you guys Monday night.
Thank you, everyone.